Be afraid, be very afraid. Meghan Markle's car crash TV show With Love Meghan is coming back, and we now have a release date of the 26th of August. So that might be the time to book in the knee replacement or tooth extraction that you've been putting off. Now, I've got the trailer which previews the series. We'll have a look at that horror show in just a moment. If those are the highlights, then may God help us. But first, whilst this horrible new deal from Netflix downgrades the money and the airtime by about 90%, the bigger story, the elephant in the room, is Prince Harry, who is the single biggest casualty of the new arrangement. It's the understanding of the Mark Dolan show that the streaming giant have long-term reasons for signing this latest agreement, reasons which we will come to shortly, but we've been told that they want absolutely nothing to do with Prince Harry. Netflix, in this new deal, want Harry out. That's right, folks. Harry is out. They want nothing to do with him. Be clear. From my understanding, this is not the Sussexes' deal. This is not Harry's deal. It is Meghan's deal. And Harry is out. They don't want his TV ideas. Don't forget that his ideas that he pitched to Spotify, who are a podcast platform, an executive said the ideas were embarrassing and called Harry an effing grifter. Yikes! I should never use such language. It's a family show, but that's what a leading executive within Spotify said. So they don't want his terrible TV ideas. They don't want any documentaries about Invictus, which no doubt, I mean, if you look at Sentebale, he'll probably have lost control of Invictus by next week as well. In fact, there is one documentary that I would like to see on Netflix, and it is the dumpster fire of Sentebale. I'd like to see a documentary about how things went so horribly wrong for Prince Harry, who couldn't run a bath. But anyway, they don't want documentaries about Invictus. They don't want another boring show about polo. They don't want a tell-all interview. And do you know why they don't want another Harry and Meghan interview? Because there is nothing more to say. Harry, in particular, is a busted flush. They also, and I don't blame them, they don't want Harry's miserable, grumpy, bored face anywhere on their channel, because he's a sad sack, isn't he? He's a misery guts. I mean, if he was back on TV on Netflix, he'd do a show about how terrible his life is. That would be the show, wouldn't it? Harry, My Terrible Life. Okay, so there are people at home struggling with the cost of living, wondering how they're going to feed their family later that day and clothe them and educate them and all the rest of it, right? Millions of people around the world struggling with the cost of living. The economies all over the world are absolutely kaputt. Sie sind fast fertig. Sie sind nicht mehr. Auf die Treppe, schnell. Right? People are struggling. And I wouldn't be surprised if Harry pitched a documentary called Prince Harry, My Terrible Life, by the world's least happy millionaire. Hello, welcome to my show. And I'm going to tell you today that I've had an awful experience. Last night we had the air conditioning on in our Montecito mansion, and it was in the bedroom. And I'll be honest, the bedroom's already a bit glacial when Meghan's in there, which does creep me out. She's a bit ghost-like, to be honest. And I was in there, and I just got so cold that I actually had to put some knitwear on and a coat because I was shivering my socks off in my 16-bathroom mansion because the aircon is a bit too cold. Do you know what I mean? Then Harry could move on to life in the kitchen with Meghan Markle. Yes, I struggle a bit in the kitchen because Meghan makes us use these paper straws and they go all soft straight away. They're just bendy and soft and ruined almost immediately. You can't suck anything through them. And I'm a big sucker. Oh, and I've got 10 saunas in my house. And do you know something? The problem with my saunas is they're all too hot. That's right. And I found myself, I was in the sauna just the other day. I hope you're enjoying this new TV show, Prince Harry, My Terrible Life. I was in the sauna and, you know, I couldn't stop sweating. And I asked Meghan, I said, Meghan, and she said, yes, my husband. What do you want to know? Meghan, do you have any idea why I'm sweating in the sauna? It must be malfunctioning in some way. It's absolutely blinking boiling in there. I'm sweating my knackers off. In fact, the only person that hasn't sweated in one of our 10 saunas is Prince Andrew, my uncle, who doesn't sweat, apparently. No! No one wants this miserable show for Prince Harry, but we have it on good authority from our media sources who are close to Netflix that Harry's out, folks. This is not the Sussex's deal. This is not Harry's deal. This is Meghan's deal and Meghan's deal alone. I was so hot in that sauna. I just couldn't stop sweating in the sauna. We're going to get an engineer to fix it at some point. I'll be honest with you. They don't really want Meghan either. Okay, they don't want Meghan either. I understand television. I've been in it for 25 years. Let me tell you, there's no season 3 of With Love Meghan, only a Christmas special. As I mentioned in the previous video, you would want this new so-called deal, which is a deal in name only. It's a horrible deal, which the Mark Dolan show has speculated is worth $5 million over 3 years. That is our understanding is that's what the deal is worth, is $5 million over 3 years, a fraction of the 100 million that they were linked to for the previous deal. Although my good friends at Page 6 magazine, which is an excellent website for royal and showbiz exclusives, have said that actually they only picked up about 20 mil of the so-called and supposed 100 mil from the Netflix deal. They only got a portion of that. They only got 2 or 3 million from Spotify, with the headline figure of that being 20 million. If I had $1 million. Well, listen, so this is really, really bad news for Harry. But I'll be honest with you, that I'll come to why Netflix have done this deal. Okay. But they don't want more Meghan either, really. Okay. They don't want either of the couple, but I'll explain my reasoning. But the bottom line is that there is no season 3 of With Love Meghan, right? This is the Meghan vehicle, right? This is in her fictional alleged house, with her fictional alleged cooking, with her fictional alleged friends, and her fictional alleged fake smile, and her flower sprinkles. I put the flower sprinkles on everything. And Mark Dolan thinks they're toxic, hallucinogenic, and people aren't supposed to eat flowers. So, but they don't really. So this deal, right, this pathetic, non-existent, barely worth the paper it's written on deal, this is the value of Harry and Meghan's deal, right? Do you know I've been to the gym today as well? You would hope that I had the strength. Why is paper so hard to rip? It's a horrible deal. They don't really want Meghan. If this was a good deal, they would have announced season 3 of With Love Meghan, which is the Meghan vehicle. It's her show. It's got her name in the title. And her flagship show, the vehicle for Meghan, has been a horrible flop. It didn't reach the top 300, despite all of the publicity around it. With Love Meghan was beaten by reruns of Suits, which Meghan was in 10 years ago. So she's been beaten by her historic self when she was a reasonable and perhaps more pleasant human being. Those were good days. When she was just a jobbing TV actress. And now she thinks she's the queen of the world. But she's not even the queen of Netflix. So it's terribly embarrassing that the flagship show that's got her name in the title, which is her vehicle, has not been recommissioned for season 3. That would be, and I would be silenced, right, which is an unusual thing for me. But if she came out and said, we've got a new deal and there's going to be another season of With Love Meghan, you'd be like, okay, fair enough. You know, it's a horrible show. The critics hated it. Almost no one watched it. It was beaten by reruns of Suits. But you got season 3. As the Australians say, fair dinkum. Fair dinkum, mate. Fair dinkum, cobber. Fair dinkum. I hope I've said that correctly. So they don't really want more, but I'll come to why. I will explain why this is all happening in just a moment. We've also got the trailer as well, which is a nightmare. All of that after a very brief word from some good friends of ours, the sponsors of the Mark Dolan Show. Are you sick of biased news? Well, so am I. And that's why every morning, with my big cup of decaf in my Father's Day mug that I actually bought for myself, I read Ground News. It shows how stories are covered differently by the left, the right, and the centre. Take this one, for example, President Donald Trump's tariff crusade. Some outlets say that he's mad and is wrecking the economy. Others say that he's standing up for American jobs and will triumph. Well, Ground News shows both sides and lets you decide, because it turns out you've got a brain! Who knew? So try Ground News. Go to ground.news/Dolan or click the link below. You will get a 40% off discount from the Vantage plan. 40% off for the plan that I use for unlimited access. It is a game-changing way to consume the news. And more importantly, it will make you sound very clever at dinner parties. Ground News is subscriber funded, no billionaire overlords pulling the strings, just the unvarnished truth from every angle. What's not to like? That is ground.news/Dolan. I'll drink to that. Netflix do not want another season of With Love, Meghan. All they've given her is the Christmas special. And can you think of anything worse than having Meghan Markle in your living room for Christmas? Can you imagine anything worse than her flower sprinkles and her damp lavender towels, which I think are unhygienic and a health and safety nightmare? And another lesson in her cookery, where you know what she'll do, don't you? Because Meghan doesn't cook. She buys things from the supermarket. She takes it out of a bag from the supermarket, manufactured produce, and then she puts it in a different bag and then writes a label on it. And apparently that's cooking, folks. Who knew? You take something out of a bag from a store, an excellent store like Albertsons, who I'm seriously considering allowing to sponsor the show. I might let Albertsons sponsor the show, because the lady in Albertsons, when I was there on the Mark Dolan Show tour, used her barcode to give me the loyalty card, even though I don't live in the United States. And when Homeland Security get wind of this, it's game over for me. They will take me down. And they will take me down to Chinatown. Albertsons, what a fine store. I've never met Mr. Albertson. I'm sure he's a good guy. Probably in his 80s now, I would have thought. What an empire he's built. Americans and Canadians, let me know in the comments your favorite supermarket. I love the Albertsons. So, it's very important. No, do you want Meghan Markle in your living room with that terribly maniacal grin of hers? My husband and I are celebrating Christmas. You're welcome. My husband. I call him H. And we have a special visitor today. We have Santa Claus, who I call SC. Never say men's full names. Always just hint at who you've got in the show. Meghan, by the way, she couldn't get Father Christmas. She couldn't get Santa, because I've got the list of so-called celebrities on the show. Shall I quickly tell you that now? Let me tell you who is on the show, right? This new forthcoming show that no one wants, the season 2. There will be no season 3, but here's season 2. Are you ready for these big names? Tan France, which actually sounds like a boast that you would make when you were back from a continental trip, wouldn't you? Tan France? Tan France? Jose Andres. Is he a Premier League football manager? I think so. David Chang, fashion designer, piano player, who knows? Samin Nosrat, Christina Tosi, Claire Smith, Jay Shetty. He's got a podcast. Meghan doesn't have one of those anymore, so he'll be able to rub that in. He'll go, hi, Meghan, I've got a podcast, and you haven't. So I do know Jay Shetty. He's a talented guy, but I mean, hardly, not exactly a household name. It's not box office, is it? It's not Brad Pitt. It's not Taylor Swift. It's not Sir Elton John. And I can't explain, but there's something about the way you look tonight takes my breath away. Decent tune. That was the double A side of the Candle in the Wind remastered Diana tribute. You're welcome. Biggest selling single in the history of planet Earth. I think they shifted about 60 million units. Well done, Elton. And then, the stupid charity. So that charity single, Candle in the Wind, and you lived your life like a candle in the wind. That raised all that money. And the stupid Diana charity decided to sue an American company who had some Diana crockery because they argued that this was the sort of theft of Diana's image to sell plates and cups and saucers and that kind of thing. They spent millions on a stupid court case, which they lost. So all of that money raised by Sir Elton John and that excellent Candle in the Wind single. Do you remember when he performed it in the Westminster Abbey? What a tough gig that was. Probably the biggest gig of his career, wasn't it? I mean, that was an audience, Diana's funeral, that was an audience of what, 2 billion people? Easily? EJ didn't even break sweat. And you lived your life like a candle in the wind, never knowing who to cling to when the rain set in. And I would have liked to know you. We don't have time for this. Guys, we don't have time. Sometimes you're amazing, okay? And I will never criticize this growing army of Mark Dolan viewers. We're going to be number one. That's the goal of the Mark Dolan show. But sometimes you struggle to concentrate. And what you do is you take me off track with your remarks and your insinuations and your fidgety behavior. So can everyone just please focus while we sort this out? Jay Shetty, podcaster, is on the show. Radi Devlukia. Heather Dorak, which sounds like an illness, doesn't it? I'm afraid I went to Spain and I contracted Heather Dorak. I was in the bushes. I can't explain the context, but I'm a single man and I enjoy my life. I'm a man of appetites. It was late at night. Drink had been taken. There was a lot of rustling in the leaves and I contracted Heather Dorak. I wasn't wearing clothes at the time. And it was a very intimate part of my anatomy where the Heather Dorak has made contact, where it's manifested. And there's a part of my anatomy now which is twice its normal size, which on paper is good news. But let me tell you, I'm in a world of pain. Heather Dorak, Daniel Martin, who's the makeup artist, who's been wheeled out for season 2 because they're running out of guests. They're recycling people that you've never heard of from season 1 to go into season 2. And Jamie Kern Lima, who is a very talented lady. I'm a big fan of hers, actually. She's got a podcast as well. Again, everyone's got a podcast except Meghan. My husband. No season 3 of With Love, Meghan. A completely diminished deal from Netflix. And no second season of Confessions of a Female Founder, the Meghan Markle podcast. You see, she doesn't stick to anything. She's very chaotic, right? So those celebrity names, right? Those people that we've never heard of. So, Tan France? I'll show you my arm. I've got where my watch was, you can see it's very pale, Tan France. So here's a question for you. If Meghan's doing so well, where is season 3 of With Love, Meghan? Where is season 2 of Confessions of a Female Founder, my husband? And here's another telling question for you. She's supposed to be so well connected in Hollywood, especially in Montecito. Where's Oprah? Oprah lives next door to Meghan Markle in Montecito. I know because I've been there with cameraman John, who's still in rehab. It could be that the road trip affected cameraman John's mental health. I'm not easy to work with, even though I'm a very stable person and I'm a very normal human being. But I think, it might have been a character clash. So poor old cameraman John is drying out as we speak. We went there. We went to Montecito. And I can tell you that Oprah is yards from Markle's house. Where's Oprah if Meghan is such a player? Where is Barack Obama? And where is Michelle Obama, who, let's be honest, these days will turn up to the opening of an envelope to moan about her terrible life as the former First Lady? Oh, it was so awful being in the White House for 8 years and being world famous and having 24/7 security and making history. It was such a drag. Poor Barack. I mean, that dude, He could. I'd like to take Barack out for a couple of beers. We would have a Budweiser because it's the king of beers. We know that because it says it on every bottle and on every can. And I would take Barack out for a beer. Forget about the politics left and right. The Mark Dolan show is for everyone. Okay. It's for, well, I will say, I don't love woke. I'm not loving woke. But I don't think that's political anymore. I think most people are sick of that nonsense. The madness. Some of the crazy ideas. But Barack's pre-woke, by the way. Barack was pre when his people, some of them went a little crazy, right? Barack's sensible. But of course, some people hate him. Who knows? I far be it from me to get into the weeds of American politics, but I think he's quite a fun chap. And I would take him out for a beer and I'd say, don't worry about your moaning wife with her terrible existence of 2 terms in the White House and all of that privilege and position and influence. Have another beer, Barack. Let's drown your sorrows. Clooney. Where's George Clooney? Where's Amal Clooney, his human rights lawyer? These are all supposed to be close friends of the Sussexes. Oprah's gone. Obama's gone. Clooney's gone. Netflix, semi-detached. They're on there. They're backing their way out of the door. I'll explain why they're doing this deal in just a moment. Where's Gwyneth Paltrow? Gwyneth Paltrow, I was told, was Meghan's new best mate. You see, what happened there is that Gwyneth Paltrow, who is a very talented actress and entrepreneur, I mean, I've got to say she's absolutely owned it. Because Gwyneth Paltrow, she is what they call a Nepo baby. Do you know what that means? Nepo baby. She's a Nepo baby. Hello, I am Nepo baby. And Gwynny is a Nepo baby. What that means is, well, you probably know. I don't have to tell you, but I'll tell you anyway. It's nepotism. It is the idea of getting a gig because of your famous parent. And she is a Nepo baby because her dad was the famous director Bruce Paltrow, and mum is Blythe Danner, a very beautiful actress. So that's Hollywood royalty. So she's a Nepo baby. But can I tell you something in life? Is that she's definitely had a leg up. But what Gwyneth did, she was given an opportunity and she ran with it. And she absolutely smashed it. So you can be Bruce Paltrow's daughter, fine. Maybe that gets you your equity card. You know, your union card to become an actor and ticks a few boxes. But your dad and your mum can't get you an Oscar, which is what she has. And then she's gone into entrepreneurship and she had the website Goop, which has been a massive, huge commercial success. So she's an incredibly, where is she? She went online and she did a mock PISS take of Meghan's show. She lampooned Meghan's show with her own hilarious version, and she did all the stuff that Meghan does. She had the dog in the background and throwing ingredients into a pan and all of that stuff. And this is basically a comedy roast. It was hilarious and very uncomfortable for Meghan, no doubt. Unfortunately, 2 days later, in what looked like a hostage video, poor old Gwyneth turns up in Meghan's kitchen, obviously facing angry retribution. And we're told, that they're actually real best friends. Well, there's been nothing since that awful video where pretending everything's fine. Paltrow lives in Montecito too. So where is Oprah? Where are the Obamas? Where are the Clooneys? Where's Paltrow? It ain't happening because they have massively, massively gone off the boil as a couple. Now, talk among yourselves while I get to the really, really important thing that we're going to do. First thing we're going to do is we're going to have a look at this horror show promo. Strap yourselves in, folks. It ain't going to be pretty. Okay, let's go. Yikes, she's in the kitchen, playing music, cooking, calligraphy. No! Oh dear, fresh fruit and vegetables, right? In season, all on the same day and very clean, even though they've just come out of the soil. Netflix, what were you thinking? That's not her house. That's not her apron. That's not her friend. Fake hug. Books she's never read. Bread, she's probably celiac. I don't believe a word of it. Oh my gosh, have we really got another season of this? I can't face it, folks. Needing bread from a very needy person. Yikes, something fishy going on there. I mean, this is worse acting than Suits, isn't it? I feel sorry for the so-called friends. I hope they're on a big fat fee. Oh, look, she's a gardener now. Meghan can do everything. She's a broadcaster. She's a philanthropist. Don't swallow any of that food, folks. You get food poisoning. Oh no, look, she's taking food from the supermarket, putting it into a box and calling it cooking. The best moments, that's a very short clip. The best moments are made to be shared. Please don't share your horrific show with us, Meghan. We're really struggling. People aren't even having a good time on TV. Look at their miserable faces. We'd love Meghan. Thanks, but no thanks. Okay, so let's have some analysis here. So the Mark Dolan show can exclusively reveal that based upon our advice from media insiders and my knowledge of the industry, you're looking at around $5 million over 3 years for the couple, which is a tiny investment for Netflix. This is the new deal, right? It's nominal. $5 million doesn't even touch the sides for Netflix. Okay, that's about 11 minutes of an episode of Stranger Things. So it's not a risk for Netflix, but it saves Netflix and the Markles of Montecito reputationally. Unfortunately, Netflix committed to this couple all those years ago. They still got skin in the game. So that's one reason why they've done this new pretend fake news deal, is to spare their own mutual blushes. But you'd still have strong messaging from Netflix. As I said, the exclusive story that we've broken, that they don't want anything to do with Harry, and it's all about Meghan. But it's still a downgrade. Okay, it's a downgrade. Now, this demonstrates, because star power in America, normally, if you renew a deal, it's always more money. Okay, it's always. So when Tom Cruise signs on for Mission Impossible 57, he'll get paid more than Mission Impossible 56, right? The deal always gets better. That's Hollywood, right? That's capitalism. The deal always gets better. Taylor Swift, she's got a new album out. The deal for that will be better than the last one. The money always goes up unless you're not fit for purpose. But the bottom line is that we know that this is a first look, and I've told you that before, that basically Netflix are keeping their options open to be presented with ideas from Harry and Meghan. That basically is lambs to the slaughter. That is Netflix saying, we won't have any more content. We'll have the Christmas special. Do you really want Meghan Markle in your house, in your living room for Christmas? Especially, I mean, she's worse than the Grinch. She's worse than Scrooge. At least Scrooge had a bit of a kind of a human side somewhere deep within him, didn't he? Old Scrooge. And the Grinch who saved Christmas. I don't really know. I'm not sure about the Grinch, but he's definitely more aesthetically pleasing than With Love Meghan and her horrible recipes. And poor old Father Christmas. I mean, she'll, if Santa Claus, right? If Santa Claus is a guest on With Love Meghan, and he'll say, "Oh, better make sure he doesn't sound like Prince Harry. Ho, ho, ho. Meghan Markle, what a delight to be on your television show. Ho, ho, ho." At which point, Meghan has a flash of rage in her eyes and goes, "Oh, Santa, didn't you know? I'm not Meghan Markle anymore. I'm Meghan Sussex." Poor old Santa Claus, right? So horrified, throws his sack on the floor and zooms back up the chimney to be rescued by Rudolph and his big glowing red nose. Netflix, what are they up to? What is their plan? Well, I think they've made a mistake, right? Because it's a very clever company. The CEO is Ted Sarandos. He's an absolute genius. And unfortunately, he invested in that couple. He was tricked into signing that first deal. And we know it's been a horror. Apart from the documentary Harry and Meghan, which was dishing the family dirt, they've been a flop with Netflix. But they're all in now. And Netflix's chief content officer, who's also a talented person, is Bela Bajaria. And she said the company looks forward to being able to entertain their members together. Entertainment? Has the esteemed Bila Bajaria been on the flower sprinkles by any chance? She says Harry and Meghan are influential voices whose stories resonate with audiences everywhere. And apparently, this amazing documentary they did gave viewers an intimate look into their lives and quickly became one of Netflix's most watched documentary series. More recently, fans have been inspired by With Love Meghan, inspired to vomit. She also said that the As Ever products sold out within record time, which is, again, that's not true. We know that. There were 11 jars of jam. Okay, I can have some merch, some Mark Dolan merch. I'm going to talk to a lovely viewer about a My Husband mug, by the way. I must get on that. But the bottom line is, I could buy like 3 My Husband mugs and then say that it's the best-selling item in the history of the world. But if you've only got a small inventory, you get the point. But there is a reason, right? If you look behind what we're talking about in terms of this fake deal, what's really going on? Well, I'll tell you what's going on. I'll tell you what's going on. And I really, really want, zig a zig ah. Netflix are preparing for life after Harry and Meghan's divorce. The Mark Dolan Show is the first show in the world to put Harry and Meghan on 24/7 divorce watch because we always get the big calls right. And I say that with no pleasure, they will split. Netflix, Ted Sarandos is a genius and he gets it. And he knows that when they divorce, there will be a TV show and it will be called Meghan, My Story. It won't be Prince Harry, My Terrible Life. I was so hot in that sauna. I don't know why it got so hot. I started sweating in the sauna. We're thinking of getting a refund from the company that installed it, actually. And another thing, the fridge is really cold. I got an apple out of the fridge the other day and it was just freezing. It was really like a really cold apple from the fridge. I don't know how that happened. So we're going to get the fridge fixed as well. So there will be a show, folks, and it's a post-divorce show and it's called Meghan, My Story. And there will be a show and there will be a book. And what will happen is a divorced Meghan will pitch the book to HarperCollins and Rupert Murdoch, who I believe that Meghan Markle would quite happily marry when she divorces Harry. Why? Because the one thing she needs now, she's got fame, she's got influence. She hasn't got money. Rupert Murdoch's a billionaire. He's single and he's Australian. And Australian men, I can't lie, are as hot as anything. Got many viewers in Australia and New Zealand. I think we'll agree, folks, that the Kiwi men and the Aussies are getting it done. And Rupert Murdoch is a man of means and a man of conviction and talent and money. I'll quite happily marry Meghan Markle. She's a fine young woman with strong vision, big ideas. And I'm going to leave all my money to her when I die, which will really annoy my actual children. Imagine if Meghan's got all of Murdoch's money. Just think of the meltdown within the family. Yikes! Netflix are not stupid. That Rupert Murdoch will buy the Meghan book. It will be Meghan, My Story. He owns HarperCollins, which is the huge publishing house. Penguin did Harry's book. She'll go to HarperCollins. She'll do a sweetheart deal with Rupert. Hello, R. Do you think you could give me $100 million to tell my story? You got it, darling. That's a drop in the ocean for me. Let's go. So there will be a book and there will be a TV series and it will be on Netflix. She'll get, the money she'll make is off the charts. She'll make at least $50 million, maybe $70 million from the book alone. And she'll pick up another $50 million for Meghan, My Story, the TV documentary. But it's critical at that point that they get rid of miserable old Harry. He's got to be gone with his sauna, which is making him sweat, right? Forget it. He's out of there. So that's what they've done. Netflix have played the long game and they're not stupid. I will say that. Ted Sarandos is a clever man. And so is, I must say, their head of content, right? Bela Bajaria, very, very intelligent and very talented person, right? They've had so many hits. That's not an accident. They know what they're doing. Did you know that Netflix, the founders of Netflix, originally went to Blockbuster Video decades ago? And that was when people used to have a VCR machine and you'd buy the cassette and it would, imagine that. Those were the days. And they went to Blockbuster and said, oh, we've got an idea for people can receive movies through the mail, through the post with DVDs, you know. And then, of course, eventually it was going to be streaming. So they went to Blockbuster, who laughed and said, Netflix, it'll never work. But Netflix went then and they offered, and Blockbuster could have bought Netflix for a few million, maybe like 50 million, which was small change for them at the time. And they laughed at the idea of it, threw them out of the office. The rest is history. We're a Blockbuster now. Forget it. So the bottom line is that Netflix are strategic. They're playing the long game and they are getting ready. And it might take a few years, but they know that the divorce is coming. They've got the TV show. HarperCollins and Rupert Murdoch, g'day, get on it. We'll do the book, and it will be massive. And Harry will have nothing, because Harry will have a divorce and he'll have to deal with Californian lawyers who will take everything. Okay, of course they will. The Californian lawyers will be on the phone, and they won't even deal with Harry. The Californian lawyers, the ruthless will be on the phone to King Charles. Hey there, Mr. King. We're just doing the deal for our client, Meghan Markle, and we're going to take your husband, H, down to Chinatown, is where we're going to take him. And we're going to take everything from England that belongs to him and you. We're taking some castles, a few rivers, lots of trees, a forest. We'll take Wales. We'll take a chunk of Scotland. And we're going to take you down to Chinatown. Poor old Harry. Oh, the future for Harry is a disaster, because what happens is he divorces, he's broke, and he's got to come back to England where everyone can't stand him. And at that point, his brother will be king. And it's going to be very uncomfortable. And we will be laughing, because I'm afraid you reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. Yes, you reap what you sow. And in the end, you leave it up to tomorrow. Before we go, and I'll leave you with this absolute hilarity, which is there's one other celebrity that's on Meghan's show of season 2. And she's called Chrissy Teigen, or is it Teigen? I don't care, actually. And I'm not going to spend precious time looking up how to pronounce this person's name. Chrissy Teigen, right? She's an actress and model. Except that she's a proven bully and online troll. This is the best that Meghan can do. This is somebody that told a vulnerable young person to take their own life. She tweeted someone, she said, my Friday fantasy, you dirt nap, baby, which is slang for death. Go to sleep forever. I hate you. Isn't that charming? And there's lots of other horrific allegations by this actress and influencer. She's one of the big names on Meghan's show. You couldn't make it up. Folks, it's been great to chat. Please like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell as well. Sometimes we do emergency videos, and you'll only find out if you hit that bell. Loving our conversations. Cannot wait to see you tomorrow. Stay awesome. Bye for now. Lots of love. Start me up.